It's pretty wild how much can change in just a single year. We're going to break down a recent, really insightful interview with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. And let me tell you, it shows this stunning reversal in global power and comes with a very stark warning about what might be next for all of us. And this one quote from the interviewer, man, it just sets the whole scene perfectly, doesn't it? It captures this massive shift from a nation that was told it needed to be grateful for aid to a nation now being asked to provide it. So what on earth happened to cause a flip like that? So let's dive into our first big point, this dramatic power shift. It's a total reversal of roles between Ukraine and its most powerful ally, the United States. I mean, just think about that for a second. A year ago, the message to Ukraine was basically, be grateful for what you get. Today, according to Zelenskyy, the U.S. is now asking for Ukraine's own soldiers, their battle-hardened experts, to come and help defend American bases in the Middle East. That is an absolutely stunning turnaround. Okay, so what's the source of this newfound influence? How did Ukraine suddenly get all this leverage on the world stage? Well, as it turns out, maybe they had it the whole time. Yeah, I mean, that's the real question here, right? How does a country that's literally fighting for its own survival suddenly become a kind of global defense consultant in such a short period of time? Well, Zelenskyy himself gives us the answer, straight up. He compares Ukraine's strategy to being a good card player. You don't show your best cards until the moment is exactly right. So this wasn't some sudden miracle. It was a strategic decision to finally reveal a strength they had been building all along. Okay, so what are these cards he's talking about? Well, first, it's unparalleled real-world experience fighting a modern land war against a superpower. No other army in the world has that right now. Second, they've developed some of the most advanced anti-drone tech on the entire planet purely out of necessity. And finally, that brings you to the soldiers and the experts who now hold all of this unique, incredibly valuable knowledge. But, with this newfound strength, it also comes with a pretty heavy burden. And from this unique perspective, President Zelenskyy issues a really serious warning about where he thinks the world is headed. And get this, right in the middle of talking about these huge global threats, an air raid siren just goes off. It's this chilling, real-life reminder that for Ukrainians, the threat of war isn't some abstract idea. It is their daily reality. And he jumps on that exact moment to make this incredibly powerful point. He says, just like you need to react instantly to defend against a missile or you'll be destroyed, the world needs to take quick steps to stop Putin. He's saying that any hesitation could lead to destruction on a much, much bigger scale. And look, this isn't him saying this for the first time. He actually reveals that a year ago, he told the White House, point blank, that this whole thing could spin out into a third world war and eventually reach American soil. And at the time, he says he felt like he just wasn't heard. And this is why he's so worried. He sees what he calls a new axis of cooperation forming. It's a tangled web. You have North Korea reportedly sending soldiers to Russia. Russia, in turn, is giving technical know-how to Iran for drones that are then used to attack U.S. bases. It's not just one conflict anymore. It's all connected. He also makes this really, really important distinction. He says a lot of people think a future war will just be about tech, drones and missiles. But Zelenskyy warns that a real world war will inevitably be fought with land forces. And based on what they've been through, that is a kind of brutal warfare that he believes the world is just not ready for. Now, beyond the tanks and the trenches, there's a whole other war being fought, a war for what we think and believe. And according to Zelenskyy, Russia is pouring a ton of resources onto this front. His take on it is just brutally honest. Why so much propaganda and disinformation? Simple, because it works. It's a powerful way to weaken your enemies and shape the narrative without ever having to fire a shot. And this isn't a simple strategy either. It's got multiple layers. Zelenskyy lays it out. They flood social media with their side of the story. They use huge cultural events like the Olympics to project an image of being a normal country, which he directly compares to the 1936 Berlin Games. And then there's this really disturbing part. He says they even push political messages into kids' cartoons, trying to influence the next generation. Okay, so after all that, the fighting, the global politics, the info war, the conversation kind of shifts to something bigger, legacy. How is this whole chapter in history going to be remembered? And the interviewer asks this really big picture question. When historians finally sit down to write the story of this war, what do you hope they say about Ukraine? And what's interesting is his answer isn't really about military wins or territory. It's about the character of the nation. He hopes they're remembered as a people with big hearts, known for their bravery, their hospitality, and for being a smart nation that was able to defend its values and ultimately beat a much bigger enemy. And the interview ends on this really personal note. When he's asked how he feels through all of this, as a son, a husband, a father, his answer is simple. Mostly, I feel responsibility. He says right now he feels like a president, but his hope is that after all of this is finally over, he can just feel like a father again. And that's a pretty powerful thought to end on.